No better time to talk about goaltending.
Yeah.
Everybody's slowly coming in here. Is that a bandana on Rhino?
Probably.
Oh
His
boy.
hair- wait till you see his hair. It's
Oh.
it's a head of cabbage.
He's got some good salad upstairs. I like it.
I wouldn't call it good.
That's pretty solid. I see some few familiar faces. What's up, Nathan?
Okay, so it is 7:30 on a Sunday night. We're going to get started. If people come in, I'll obviously admit them in. I want to thank everyone for coming in tonight. We should have a pretty darn good discussion. More people are coming in. I'll let people in. So we've got a true international episode tonight. We've got obviously myself, Mitch Harris, goalie doc with the goalie doctor here, goalie doctor junior mentor. We've got Matt Tendler from live from Aston, Pennsylvania. We've got Laurent Lavigne from Montreal, who's been kind of our co-host on these Sunday nights. And we got Josh Roarke from Brick by Brick Goaltending up in Toronto. And what's cool about everything going on is that we brought a lot of different coaches together. We got different goalies from all over together. A lot of familiar faces, some new faces too. So it's cool. So how I really want to start with this, and please goalies, this is interactive. So even though you're on mute, you do have that chat feature. So please, if you have any questions about anything, if we're asking for responses, please type in, fire away. We'll get to whatever questions you guys have as well with this great panel we have. So I kind of want to start things off with, we're all in different parts of the world, North America, I think. I don't think we have any Europeans here with us. I kind of want to go over the landscape of what everyone's going through, and then we'll get into some good goalie talk. So Matt, you and I, obviously, we talk quite a bit. For those who aren't in the Philly area, how do you could you summarize what's kind of going on where we are and where we can be possibly going with camps, clinics, lessons, and such?
Well, sure. It's definitely an interesting time, and we're all kind of waiting patiently to have that green light, that go ahead. There's been some rinks that are slowly opening in the Philadelphia area. There's a couple that come to mind, but they are technically going against the governor's orders to open up. So we are a little bit weary about jumping into this too early. I think that we have to be patient and make sure that everybody's safe before we get back on the ice. Plus, to be honest, I mean, it's going on in summertime. We have obviously our tryouts that are coming up that are sign up and no on ice evaluation. And then you have for the tier 2 the evals that are still on the docket, but we don't know when those are going to come about. So I would just be really focused on trying to maximize your time outside of the rink and trying to rush back right away. No matter how early or how quickly you get back on the ice, especially in this area, we have to kind of wait for everybody to open up to get back to 100%. So I think the time away from the ice and our time working at home might be better suited than trying to be first back to the rink. But you don't want to be too late. You don't want to be too early. It's kind of finding that happy medium, and we're going to try and feather our way through that. Now, looking towards the future, we did have to cancel our one weekend clinic at the end of May with 14 hockey. So that is our first casualty. We're still on the docket for the rest of the camps, but those will be tentative, and we're going to try and be patient and do our due diligence to make sure everybody's safe. Once it's safe and everybody can be healthy, we're going to be back on the ice and ready to rock and roll. But until that happens, we're kind of being patient. What about the two other individuals from across the globe?
Josh, what do you got in Toronto?
So Toronto, kind of similar. They're starting to slowly plan to open things up. Right now, they got the go-ahead to start opening ice rinks for private lessons, one-on-ones by this Tuesday. They've mentioned figure skating more than hockey just because they don't want contact sports, but it's kind of a gray area if goalie coaching would be allowed one-on-one. So what I'm planning right now, I'm planning to start up at the start of June, and hopefully we'll have a bit more information as to what's actually allowed and what isn't. But we're in a similar situation where we have a few rinks now that are still going against the grain and staying open. And I agree with Matt. There's so many other things you could do right now. You don't have to rush to get back on the ice. Just want to make sure you're doing the right thing and being smart. So
Laurent, how are things up in Montreal?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Nothing's open right now, but they're starting. I think golf courses are going to open like on Wednesday. So individual sports are going to start, and then we might pick up, but nothing about hockey yet. I think hockey is like last in the list that they put out. So there was some talk about June about our place being able to reopen, but it's all up in the air right now, and nobody knows. So, and like everybody was saying, stay safe, stay healthy. That's the first priority. So,
And I mean, to me, that's really the key. I mean, we don't want to rush into things. Matt and I had this conversation about some of these rinks, and yes, I mean, ice is available, but we're really in the game where we want everyone to be safe, and we don't want to rush back in because, frankly, we don't know how well rinks are being sanitized. We don't know how well who's going in the rinks before us. So we really kind of want to be more safe than sorry, and still driving home that message that there's so much that we should be doing off ice, that we can be doing, working on our hand-eye, which, I mean, if you're following me and Matt, I mean, we're posting every day. I know Josh had a thing at 4:00 today. I think it was mostly a hand-eye, Josh. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit more hand-eye, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of coaches out there, and I have a lot of respect for the ones who are out there doing things to keep you guys active. Seek those guys out. The great thing about social media is, first of all, it's free. So go out there and look and peruse and see what's out there. And, obviously take things with a grain of salt and make sure they make sense. But also, we also want to make sure we're having some fun with some stuff too, which is why a lot of the drills I'm doing, I'm sure Josh, you're doing as well, are not just the mundane throwing a ball against the wall and kind of, you're trying to change things up a bit, I'm sure. So,
for sure. Keep them on their toes.
So let's kind of jump into the one thing that we are missing right now is goalie stuff, which is why we have two great guys with us today, and Matt obviously is going to be along for our color commentary. Does a great job at that. So Josh, I'm going to pass it over to you with some video. You want to talk about keep holding your edges, I believe you said you want to talk about today.
Yes. So bear with me, guys. This YouTube video I'm going to have to go through, so there might be an ad in it. I'll have to share my screen. So Mitch, if you could open that up for me.
You should just be able to share yours. I don't think I have to do it on my end.
It said host disabled participant screen sharing.
Ew. Okay. Let's see. Talk amongst yourselves while I try to figure that out.
Let me make sure I got the
technology. The old guy's running the show and doesn't know how to share things here. Let's see.
Wow, I
didn't. You should be able to right click on his name, and it should have a drop down menu of things you can provide for him to do. Which one
let's see here. Spotlight video, make host.
Just make him the host.
Oh, for the time being? Yeah, that could work.
There you go.
All right. Okay, everybody. So I'm going to start. So the theme for the clips I'm going to go over are goalies on drives from bad angles, where goalies get a little anxious and lose their feet. And then as a result, they don't have the ability to move when the player changes direction, either for a wraparound or to cut to the middle. So we have a few examples here. First one, I believe this is Ranta with the Coyotes. So let me adjust the volume really quick here. So, you can see right here, he's in a very solid position, right? His feet are set. He's on a dead angle. Right now, if he just held his ground and set his feet, he's in a great position for whatever this guy's going to do. Even if he went to the middle here, it's a quick little slide to get to the back door and make that seal. But you'll see he gets a little anxious, doesn't really set his feet, and overplays this guy at the dead angle. Right? So right here, he's at a dead angle. This is where you would use your reverse, where you would use your VH if you're a bit more old school. We don't want to end up in this dead zone right here, kind of outside our net, kind of chasing the play. As you see, Ranta a little over anxious, chases there. And then as a result, doesn't have the ability to pivot and get that push back to his post, right? So he turned a pretty safe play into a scoring chance, right? Because right here, if he just sets and seals that post, there's nowhere to go, right? You use your frame, take away the net, just play big. And then if he does go for the wrap, as long as you're playing within your post or in an overlap at the most, you shouldn't have too much difficulty getting a strong pivot and pushing back to this post. Okay. So any comments there? Any feedback?
I think you can watch. I mean, when we were getting called outside the net, he overcommitted. But you also have to realize where the other attackers are from. If you rewatch it, there's nobody really on that backdoor side. There's nobody really driving the net too hard without coverage. You have a defenseman there, and then the third guy is creeping in high, but he's not really a major threat. So you can see where he's getting at of trying to hold his edges, be patient, so you can read and react a lot better. If you're overcommitting or if you lose your feet too early, you're trying to dictate the play. Unfortunately enough, we have to read and then react. We don't have the puck. We have to react off that forward. And if you're too early or too predictable or too default, it allows a forward a lot of options. And you can see that's where he gets exposed here.
For sure. And I know the RVH, there's a lot of talk about it, people saying use it too much, too early, so on and so forth. I feel that right here, it's a safe play, right? You're sealing the dead angle. It's going to be a very low percentage shot if he does try and get this up and over the shoulder, and then you have a post to anchor off of and get that push side to side.
I'm a big fan of using the RVH whenever you're coming from high to low. So if the forward is attacking that goal line and going to a worse angle, you can load into that save instead of being down too early in the interim. I mean, in the reverse, if a forward's coming from below the goal line above, I'm not as big of a fan because I'm a little bit smaller. You get stuck down, you get exposed. But here, the momentum of that forward, that attacker is taking him to a worse angle. So you can be a little bit more patient. You can be more of a blocking goaltender, and it provides you that patience if you see it and identify it at the correct time.
For sure. And one other thing I picked up on, like why the RVH isn't such a bad play here, is the fact that he's a righty on this side. It's going to be very tough for him to get it up and over short side, right? Just with the stick angle from this angle here, it's just going to be a little tougher to go across the body. So, yeah. Any other comments, guys, or even some of the kids in the discussion here?
I mean, it's been, is it just me? Like, because my screen is lagging. Like, I can't see the clip at all.
Oh, no? All right, let me try this again.
No, it's bad.
Yeah, mine's a little bit jumpy, but I can see the full clip. What about you, Laurent?
No, I can't.
No.
We're having trouble with my connection.
I think it's your connection because we were on earlier and you were
connection. Like I can't. Anyways, I'll let you guys.
Yeah. Well, sorry about that.
Oh no, I mean, this connection.
Right. Canadians.
Yeah, blame Toronto.
Yeah.
Did you see that, Mitch?
I see it just fine. So.
Okay.
And I think the point that Mac makes is a good one. I think that play going from high to low is definitely the right time to engage into that RVH. The other thing that I really like in this clip is that, I mean, my rule of thumb, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, is for an RVH or even a VH is a stick length, maybe 2 stick lengths. And he was right in that 1 to 2 stick length range of when he went into it. So I think he showed some good patience going into it, and then obviously, things fell apart a little bit after that. But the initial RVH, that would not be one where I would say that's an RVH fail. I think that was actually the right play.
Yeah, no, I'm good with them using the RVH too. It's just he kind of misses his post, right?
Yep.
Just overplays his post right here, where you just see his weight ends up outside the post, and then at that point he's kind of screwed. Right? You're not in a good spot to transfer that weight and get back across. But yeah, as you said, RVH there, if he had done it well, executed well, it's a good play. So
I wouldn't say it's the best defensive coverage, but that's a different story.
Always 5 other guys we could blame.
Are you trying to not blame Ranta for this goal? I'm blaming him.
Yeah. It's a dead angle, right? Like when you keep them to the outside like that, the goalie's got to do his job.
If you can see the picture right now, we have all 5 defenders in the picture, and there's only 3, maybe 4 if you want to count the defenseman as an attacker. So you have good coverage. It just Ranta over-pursued and overplayed and got caught out in no man's land.
Yeah, and like at this, a little too much, but Where is it? Like right at the point when the guy's a shot threat, if he just sets and holds, he's in a great spot, So as you said, yeah, he has him where he wants him. Everyone's doing their job. Coverage is good, but he just doesn't use his post, loses his post.
About plays.
And then he's chasing.
Is it on now?
Yeah.
Oh, we got
7:30, I guess.
Oh, I think someone just joined. Isn't muted.
Yeah,
Hold on one sec. Let me mute these guys.
Yeah, since you're the host, you're going to have to mute them. I've lost my hosting duty.
All right, I'm just going to stop the share for a sec. 1 second. Participants and mute all. Sorry, guys. All righty. So who would like to share the next clip, or do you want me to go through another one? Or
Yeah, I think while you have the hosting duties, it's probably easier if you just go through your clips and then instead of having to go back and forth with switching the host to share the video.
Okay, so I have another very similar one, this time featuring Henrik Lundqvist. So let's get to that point. We're good. We see the screen, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So once again, not the best D, right? The guy gets walked here. But same thing, right? We see dead angle. If he's anchored on his post and set, not sliding, there's nowhere to go. Even if he did make a pass or a wrap, you have the post then to push off of. But you'll see, because he loses his post and overplays the shooter here, dead to rights once that pass gets to the middle.
So here I would be blaming a little bit of the defense.
Yeah.
So I'm on your side for this clip there, Mitch, of blaming somebody else. But still, Pasta is phenomenal. Look at that move.
Oh, look at that D.
I mean, he got 3 Rangers to bite, either 2 defensemen and Hank, and then the other guy's just watching the play like, oh, my God, this guy's good, as that pass comes back across the crease.
Yeah.
You're right, though. He got caught up in the speed, and he got a little bit lost. And obviously, I hope he had some faith in his team to cover that guy that's sitting there doing nothing in the high slot. And they just definitely left Hank out to dry, too.
Yeah. It's got a little too puck focused. But
and the thing that is kind of interesting is, these guys are the best players in the world. You guys are all shooting to be NHL, NCAA, OHL, high-level hockey. And these guys are all good. They're all, once you climb the ladder, you'll see everybody is really, really good. But it's also, you'll see them make the same mistakes as squirt players, midget players, and junior players, even at that highest level. So these guys are phenomenal players, but they're always going to make mistakes just like we are. So it's about learning from our mistakes to keep getting better. And these guys just make them few and far between compared to the players that don't make it. But they still make mistakes. And it's a great teaching tool to be able to review and watch. And I think this is awesome that we have, the YouTube as a resource to look up past goals, past situations, and to learn from them.
For sure. One thing I always like to stress with my goalies too, something I feel that's getting kind of lost with all the technical aspects of training today, is just game management and being able to communicate with your D. Like, let them know I got this shot and that they're sealing off the middle. There should be some type of communication. Once this D gets walked, where Hank's talking to his other defenseman just to take away the middle. Because once this guy's here, honestly, I want that shot. He's got no angle. I'm in my position. I just want to make sure that this ice is sealed off.
Yep.
Right? So that's where just simple communication, little stick point, little direction, and then you could really focus on the shot. So.
Josh, I think that's a really good point. And it's one thing that, Matt and I go out with a lot of different teams. And the one thing that I notice, especially with some of the lower end teams, but even the higher end teams, during drills, I don't hear goalies talk. I'm never hearing, I got shot, keep them outside, nothing. They're very quiet. And I go up to them and I'll ask them, I said, what do you do in games? Do you talk? They're like, well, sometimes. I said, well, we're here, we're practicing how to make a save, we're practicing a skating technique, we're practicing this, we're practicing that. Why don't we get in a good habit of talking and practice now, so that way your defense knows what you're talking about? Get your defense together and say, these are the simple things I'm going to say. I've got shot, take shooter, keep them outside. Little things like that, I really think in practice, and even with my college guys, I don't hear them do it, and I get on them for it. So why aren't you talking to your D? You're the quarterback. You see everything going on. So in a situation like this, if you're working on a drill in practice, and breakdowns like this happen in practice for sure, this is where you're, as a goalie, you're saying, take the pass away. I got the shot, and then you're communicating with your D.
For sure. This makes your job easier. If everyone's doing their job, you just have to stop the puck.
And communication is, oh, hey, Archie. That was my cat. Sorry about that. Yeah, communication, just like everything else, is a skill. So you have to practice it. And, in games, it probably comes a little bit more natural, but in practice, that's really when you build chemistry between your defense and your forwards on what you want out of them. More communication, less assuming. And whenever you don't assume, and then that's an important piece. So whenever you're in practice, bark out orders. You might communicate, and that's kind of the fine line. When you're younger, you don't know what exactly to say, so you might blurt something out and say, "Oh, I said it wrong." But in practice, who cares, right? You're just getting used to playing and communicating at the same time. And the more that you do it, the more refined you can make those instructions. You don't want to overcomplicate it. You don't want to talk in full sentences. You want to just keep it short and sweet, just like Mitch said, because the game's fast. So right up, rim, wrap, reverse, center, D, wing, D to D, chip out, whatever you need to do and whatever you feel comfortable, but you have to learn how to do that. And it's a skill, just like anything else. So put some time and effort into it in practice. It makes a difference.
100%. And just to build off what Matt was saying there, everyone, when goalies are yelling, a lot of the time your D hear you, but don't know what you're saying. So
Yes.
Don't just start yelling and expect them to understand you. Tell them what everything you're saying means, right? So when they hear it, they don't even have to think, it's just instant, right? Like you're saying man on, they might not know what you're saying and not know exactly what you mean by it. So you want to build that language, build that communication, and then you'll have more confidence in each other to really do their own jobs.
It also kind of starts in the locker room too. When I got older and we had some rinks, we would get 2 locker rooms because we had enough guys, and the forward would go in one locker room and the D and the goalies would go in another. And, for that time was a good opportunity. If I was starting, I would have a quick little powwow with my D, let them know what I expected out of the game, because as you get older, you might have a game plan or a pre-scout, which you kind of know who you're playing. You kind of know the tendencies, the power play, the penalty kill, all these type of forechecks that are coming at you. And it's important to be on the same page. So when I was getting dressed, I was always trying to be as close to my defense as I could be. So then we could be talking about the game, getting on the same page. So when we're ready to go, it's a fine-tuned engine. Everyone's pulling the rope in the same direction, and we don't have guys on their own page. And I think that's an important piece.
Sure.
All right, Josh, you got one more clip there?
Yeah, so I'll do something a little different here. We're going to pick on Hank a little bit more. So this one is more traditional of sliding versus holding your feet on a pass across. So you'll see Hank here in this situation ends up going to his slide a little early, overslides his angle, and then is beat on the shot. So let me just find this one quick. Nope, not that Hank one. At 4 minutes, sorry. Okay. It was right after the Ronta one, actually. Yeah.
Ooh.
So once again, Rangers D this year was pretty suspect. So right here, though, Hank is in a great spot. I like his depth. He knows the situation. He's not too aggressive here. He knows the dangerous play is that guy to the middle, right? So he's being patient, holding his feet. But you'll see as this guy gets lower and he makes that pass to the middle, what did he do right away? How did he get there? Yeah, exactly. It's an old habit. I call it like the early 2000s habit where goalies were John Quick and everywhere. Just slide and pop, right? And if he arrives with a simple shuffle, because you see this puck barely crosses the Royal Road. So it's not a long movement, especially for a goalie of that caliber. But because he's sliding, now he's chasing the play. And look how far he ends up oversliding the shooter's angle. So he's trying to push back on angle, but at that point, too late, and he's got the whole open part of the net. So I'll just go back for that one again. See it at full speed.
Can you pause it right now?
Yeah.
So if you look at this, everybody, Hank, just like Josh said, is in a great position, top of the crease, right? He keeps that passing option, the middle lane net drive in his view. That third guy who's going to be the scoring guy is coming a little bit late. But you can also see that blocker side, I could be wrong, but it looks a little bit higher. So he's taking away that short side and loading up to that middle side pass. Now, when you start loading, you sort of have a tendency to kind of just go. You have to load up a little bit more because he has a little bit better angle for that short side being a lefty driving down to the goal line. So you want to make sure you're taking away that short side. But just like Josh said, it's not even halfway. That's a 3-foot push. That's a step.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to slide and then have the correct timing to make sure you get there and meet the pass with your save, you can make a quick little shuffle adjustment or a lateral release, hold your edges, and be 100% true to your square. And I think that's really the piece where I wanted to point out. If you're loading too early and you allow that load or that misbalance to throw off your footwork, you're going to be sliding a lot. So I think it's a situation where you have to be patient, hold your feet, and then just trust your feet. You're going to be quicker than most passes if they're hash mark and above. Hash mark and above is usually where my line is. When I played, I try to use the bottom hash mark and continue to move that line back closer to me. And that was kind of where my generalized default would be. If passes were hash marks and below, I would be more apt to sliding because there wasn't as good of an angle. If they're hash mark and above, I knew if I was going to slide, I was going to get torched. So I had to hold my feet. But again, these guys are the best players in the world. They make mistakes, and it's all great to use them as a teaching tool. So the goal is you look at this, try and remember situations that you played where you made not necessarily a physical mistake, but you maybe too early. Maybe you were over anticipating. Maybe you didn't trust your feet and you slid and that goal went in. You can hopefully remember a situation that you played that is similar to this and revert back to how you can adjust that moving forward.
And if I may, this is gonna go over my my segment afterwards, but from his stance right now, because he's kind of wide, he's playing kind of wide right now.
Yep.
For the player's position, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be harder for him to even shuffle to the middle, shuffle to whatever position he has to get to afterwards. So his stance right now in this play, in my opinion, is not helping him. That's
you can kind of see his feet from the angle. The pucker is actually outside the post a little bit, right? That's what you're saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this is just something else. But I mean, his stance right now is not helping him. He's a bit too wide to stay on his feet and just push to the middle, push to the next player. You know, it's going to be way harder for him.
For sure.
Let's rewatch the clip.
Sorry, who was that?
I was just going to say, let's watch the clip again so we can see if we pick up anything else.
So one big thing too, when he goes to this slide, another reason why it shouldn't even be a thought process is, what hand is this guy? Is he going to 1-2 this? There's no shot. He's going to have to catch and release. So just taking a shoulder check, maybe observing where everyone is a little better, getting those small details will help you make the right moves. Because once he leaves his feet, he's done. Especially at this level, you're just not going to make up that time.
I think another interesting point there is on his slide, he actually loses depth. I mean, right there, I mean, when the play is when the puck carrier still has the puck, he's pretty much at the top of his crease. With that slide, he's going back. I mean, he's almost at I almost want to say middle to almost on the goal line as opposed to it being at the top of the crease. So that slide, he's going backwards and taking away space too.
I'll tell you, I think the reason why is because he was a little bit nervous, and I think he defaulted. You know, I teach my goalies, if you don't know, find your center, right? If you don't know, find your middle. It doesn't matter about your depth. If you get your square first, you're in a position to at least make a save. You know, ideally, you want to have control of your depth to the best of your ability. That's going to give you the highest probability to make the save. But if you get lost sometimes in screens, and this is kind of where I knew I had a big problem with. When I got lost and I had a screen, I would default back and retreat to try and get a better angle or a better view because I felt more comfortable. And that just comes as a default. And I think that's what he did, was he defaulted to his square, not really focused on his depth. And that's, again, why we get exposed. Now, sometimes you can do that. You can make a save, and other times you can do it and you get exposed. And when we're having discussions like this, everything is hindsight's always 2020. We can watch this clip and dissect it down to the smallest detail. And I think it's good to do when you're reflecting. One thing that I want to make sure we point out, though, you shouldn't be thinking about goals this much in a game. Goal goes in, you get your water bottle, you do your routine, and then you move on to that next shot. On the ride home or when you're the next day or the next practice, that's the time to kind of rework, rewind, and reflect on your goals, or in this type of environment.
100%, yeah.
So, Laurent, you said that this is a good segue into your portion of the.
Yeah, kind of is.
So I'm going to go ahead and Josh, I'm going to reclaim my hosting duties. Laurent, let's see. Can you share your screen?
Let me try him. Nope.
Well, then I guess I'm going to make you the host. Yeah, I'm just passing the mic around.
While we're getting that hosting thing figured out, gentlemen that are in here, is there any additional questions that you guys might have for Josh before we move on that you want to propose to him through in the chat? Please let us know. Type it up. We're here. And obviously, same idea when Laurent gets going. You guys have comments, throw it in the chat room. Be a part of this. Be engaged. We're here to kind of help and provide insight. And it's a lot more enjoyable for all four of us if there's a little bit of engagement. But at the end of the day, we're going to have fun doing it either way. So the more that you're involved, the more you're engaged, hopefully the more you get out of it.
For sure. How do I put out the chat box thing?
The chat is down at the bottom. So when you're sharing, I'm not sure if you can.
If not, I got any comments. I got you covered on that one. That's the one hosting today I can still do.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, this is basically kind of the same thing as Josh was doing, but it's from a year earlier, 2018, 2019. There you go. But this is Crawford. This is, I think, Toffoli's going to score on him. But here it is. And you know what? I'm not even going to talk about – what I'm going to do is – because I have 4 clips. I'm going to show you all 4 clips, and then I would like every goalie in here to say what they have sort of in common, right? What the common mistakes were in these situations here. Okay, so we're going to back it up, play it again. And then please comment, shoot away. Ooh, what happened there?
Yeah, I lost it on the
Okay, wait up. Let me start over. Okay, this is not it. Wait up. I got it. Right here.
We got Toffoli going. Now we're going.
Yeah.
Toffoli with a toe drag, cuts the middle.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the first one. Second one is a 240. 240. It's not playing, huh?
Yeah, it's not playing on ours either.
Yeah. Froze up.
It's like choppy.
Jeez, this is complicated. This is way more complicated than I was expecting.
Here we go.
Okay.
That's a nice goal.
Again.
Yeah. He's flat, but still a nice goal.
These guys are good.
Okay. This is the next one. Now, next is a 250. They clip right after, I think. There you go.
Here comes Dylan Larkin in. Pass across, gets away.
Play it again.
Stopped by as the Red Wings straddle the line. Here comes Dylan Larkin in. Pass across, gets away. Scores!
There we go. And then 312. Let's back it up just a bit. All right. So these are the 4 clips, right? And we could find a lot more in this compilation. I'm sure this is only 3 minutes and 15 seconds into the video, right? But I would like I can't see the comments there. Oh, maybe I can. Yes, I can.
Nope.
Okay, good.
So far, we have 2 responses. Rhino says not set for the shot. And then Joseph says, looks like all goalies default to the butterfly.
That's a great one.
Anybody else want to throw in their chat, their insight? Again, please engage.
We got 14 goalies in here. Let's get some chatter going.
Let's get it going, guys. Come on.
No right or wrong. I mean, just say what you think. Patrick says for Halak, maybe lean into the shot, or Max said for Halak, maybe lean into the shot better. Patrick says on Halak's first one, he is too far back in the crease, I assume. We got Nathan Williams saying they're set to the player, not to the puck.
Let's give them just like 30 seconds more. Oh, okay. We got a good one.
There we
Dom's
go,
a man.
Damo.
Dom's always got good insight.
I was about to call Damo out too. Damo says on the first
I was
goal,
about to call him
off
out.
angle.
I was like, Dom, what are you doing back there?
I know,
Throw
Dom,
some
come on.
throw some chatter in there.
Second goal, he taps his glove on his left pad and it drops really low, and he gets beat up over his glove. Third, Bob overslides without looking that Larkin's going to pull, and skating in too fast to one time the shot. And we've got a couple other comments. Leon, the player moved the puck without moving his body, and the goalie was scared of the player. We got Evan Miller chiming in with they were overcommitting.
All right. So from these answers, we see a lot of positioning, right? Which is right. If you get scored on, most of the times you're not in good position. But now let's go back to the first one. 26. And this is something that I truly believe in, because all they have in common to me is basically their stance. They get super low too early. And when you get low, you kind of have you're going to have, your safe selection or the way you're going to react is going to be very different. It's kind of going to be compact. Everything's going to want to go back to, like this, right? More in a blocking sense. And this is Crawford here, right? Look at his reaction into the shot, right? So everything drops. And then whenever everything drops, then that's when, why did he slide there? Because look at his stance right before. His positioning was off for sure. But here. Is there any way he's going to follow that play up, standing up from this position right here? There's no way. He's way too low. There is no way. I mean, this is just me here. Do we agree with this?
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes back into what Josh was saying. I mean,
Exactly.
the easiest save we can make is a puck coming directly at us with our feet set and square with the right depth. And we try and strive to get that as best as possible with our feet. If you don't trust your feet, you don't use your feet, you're not able to do that. And you can see Crawford here starting to, again, lean a little bit, get a little bit off balance, shift into the shot as it's coming. And if you're against a high-level shooter, you can get exposed that way. And you can see Crawford gets exposed here with that.
Exactly. So that's the first one, right? Now, if we go to the second one at 240. 240. Oh, just a bit earlier then. Okay, so what happens to the glove here? And I think one of the guys mentioned it, right? But what happens to his glove?
Puts it in his pocket.
If I'm not mistaken, he got beat on the glove side.
Yep.
High glove side.
Looks to me like Halak's trying to put his hand in his pocket.
Yeah, try and get a shoulder on it.
Hey, here's my glove. Oh, never mind. Let me tuck it down here. And then he puts it right back there.
Exactly.
Let's call a spade a spade. I mean, Schmidt made a phenomenal move. He turned the defense. He made a nice inside out, back nice and smooth off the forehand, top sheds. But overall, it's still a goal we would love to see. These goalies make a save, and you guys make that save too.
And you'll see, like, right here as Laurent stops it, Halak's already losing control of his edges.
Yep.
He's already on his way down to the ice.
But why?
I don't know.
I mean, is he not wide? Is he not super low, super wide?
Yeah, he's not only
And this
wide,
This is my
wide
point
for
in all these
laps.
clips is that in most of these, well, actually, in all these goals that I'm showing right now, this is, to me, the biggest mistake. Because as soon as you go super wide, super low, right, there's so much tension that builds up in your body that your reaction is going to be stuck. You're stuck. What can he do in this situation? All he can do is play blocking.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to move laterally with a shuffle. It's hard to move with a T push. It's hard to move with a shoot cut here. You know, it kind of puts your eggs all in one basket.
So in just these two clips, right, you can see that your stance is very important, right, for the rest of your game. So basically everything builds on the stance. So the way you're going to move, your tracking, your safe selection builds on your stance and, you know, the way you're going to be positioned as well. Because if you can't move, you can't position yourself properly. So anyways, let's move to the next one again. 240. No, 250, sorry. Here.
The Red Wings straddle the line. Here comes Dylan.
So he goes for a slide because, I mean, again, from how wide he is, to me, there's no way he's going to be T-pushing to the next position because he can't even get that rotation going. He can't even do a C-cut right to go. And there's no way, there's no reason for him to go down in this situation. The shooter's on the high circle. So, and this is, it's funny because we were just working on that with Mitch's son a bit earlier, but it's again, stance. Why do you have to be so wide and low? Why? Again, let's watch the clip again.
Straddle the line. Here comes Dylan.
Both players went right when the action happened. Both players were on the top circle.
Larkin in. Pass across.
So he slid completely out of position, and boom, goal.
Okay, so let me propose this question. Is this a goal that he should have had, or is this a goal that he could have had? Because it's different of how you evaluate it as a goaltender, right? So what do you think?
I think that this is a goal, and he should not have had this because it was a D mistake, in my opinion.
Yep.
Because Larkin was completely alone in front of the net. But this is what's interesting in this clip, right? To me, this is what's interesting because let's say if he stayed up in that first move, right? If he T-pushed instead of slid, would he have been able to come back? I think so. I think he could have been able to slide back to the other way because right now, as soon as you go down, your power push is going to – first, you have to load up on a power push. There's no way with that much momentum, there's no way you can push off right away. So this is going to take time for sure. So anyways, I think you guys agree with me when I said that if he stayed up, he would have for sure had a better chance of making that save. But at the same time, it was a great play by the players there. There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
Straddle the line.
Anyways,
Here comes
close
Dylan
it
Larkin
one
in.
more
Pass
time.
across.
There we go. And
I think
then
that's a 2-2 game. If you make that save, you're changing the game.
exactly.
Like, that's the difference between a great and a good goalie. So
I love that you brought that up. You know, knowing the situation inside of a game and playing that game within a game is so very important. You know, you make that save at the beginning of the game, 0-0, 1-1. Okay, you can affect it. You make a save in a third period and it's 2-2 or overtime 2-2. You could be the difference maker. And at the same time, if it's 7-1 against, you make that save. Okay, you know, it's a great save. It's a highlight reel save, but, you know, you're still getting pumped 7-1. So, again, situational awareness is important. And the best goalies in the world rise to the occasion when the game's on the line. And I think you guys may have not been able to watch this goalie growing up, but I'm sure you all know him, Marty Brodeur. He was a big gamer. He would let some stinkers on, some really shitty goals in, excuse my language, but it didn't really come in usually at the wrong time. Like, it was a mental mistake when he could have a mental mistake, but it was NHL playoffs, game 4 against a clinching game. He was spot on. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean if you make all the saves, you have to make the right saves. And the right saves at the right time. I think that plays into becoming a gamer and managing the game as well, knowing the situation.
100%. Anyways, so I could show the last one, but it's basically going to be the same thing, right? I could show the last one. But here, let's back it up just a bit. I just want to see his position right before the shot. So I think somebody brought up as well that he was square and on angle to the player, not the puck.
Yep, sure,
which is 100% true. Just a bit before then. Just want to see it just a bit before. Okay, it's not bad. Again, what kind of reactions are you going to do?
Throw it in the chat, gentlemen, but I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, he's overlapping that short side, protecting that short side, but just on this camera angle, it's almost perfect for what we're looking at for the puck. So he definitely is giving up a little bit of that far side, and that's just a quick little view from here. But as that puck does come a little bit closer, it seems like he's holding his feet and that he's actually gaining his square better. But initially when he's setting up, it looks like he's overcommitting just a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. This happens every time, man. I can't get it right. I cannot get it right. Straight up. Okay. Let's back it up again. Here it is. You got to beat low blocker.
Yeah.
That's a stoppable
There's
shot.
no reason for you to get beat low blocker on this play.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And the shot, it wasn't posting in.
Well, if you look, where's his head moving on that save attempt? Into the shot or away from it?
Away from it completely.
Exactly. He's opening up that far side. Just a little uneven on his feet. If he's able to shift, he's getting a shoulder on that at the very least.
We also don't want to get beat by clean shots, and this is a clean shot.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm sure I want to give the benefit of the doubt to Halak and say he's yelling at the defenseman, say, I got shot, because it doesn't look like that defenseman's creeping over to force him and force his hand. So he's got clear line of sight. The puck carrier has clear control. You should be able to read that release, have good positioning, and that is definitely a puck you should have stopped.
Oh, yeah. Big time. So this was the clip that I wanted to show, basically, to bring up that point there. I'm going to stop the sharing now, unfortunately. But no, this was pretty much it.
Good stuff. Well,
Yes,
let's just kind of do a general Q&A. We have a couple of questions. So goalies out there, please, if you have any questions, could be on any topic, any goaltending topic. Let's just kind of, falls count anywhere kind of thing here. Tamara has a question. How useful are squats when doing off-ice training? Josh, let's start with you.
So to be honest, I'll be the first to admit I am not a specialist when it comes to kinesiology off-ice training. I'm not sure if it is good, if it isn't, but I do know that you are working the same muscle groups you will be working when you're in net, in that squat position. So to be honest, I couldn't give you the scientifically correct answer, but I don't think it would hurt as long as you're not doing too much weight and you're not compromising your flexibility and your mobility.
Matt?
I think it's important to remember our conversation with Dex. He is an expert in this field. We are not. We are goalie coaches. We know the goalie position, but we don't know I don't want to put my name next to giving you advice and saying this is 100% accurate, but for general rule of thumb, any exercise that you're getting stronger, that is helping you test your limits and push your limits to hopefully improve your capabilities is going to be good. Squats is a very strong exercise for your lower body. Your glutes, your hamstrings, your hip flexors, those are all muscles that we really use regularly while we're in our crease, in our net, in our stance. So any drill or any exercise that you can do will help improve your strength in that is going to be good. You know, I love squats. I love full body exercises. You know, as you get older, you know, it becomes more prevalent to be able to do that. You know, Olympic lifts are good. Explosive movements are good. But remember, it's not just one exercise is going to be the greatest thing ever. It's your diversification of exercises and making sure you're well-rounded. But overall, great question. I love the off-ice stuff. But remember, anything that you can do to help improve your agility, mobility, and strength is going to be a good exercise to do off the ice.
Love it. All right, Laurent, I'm going to pose the next question to you. It's also kind of an exercise question, but nonetheless, Max asks, are sprints effective, and what do they primarily work on that benefits something you can see on the ice?
Sprints are very explosive. They work on explosiveness, but I am not an expert. Again, like everybody was saying, we're not experts in that area. I would love to talk about, you know, goalie stuff on ice and whatnot, but sprints are very effective, I think, for explosiveness and acceleration. If you talk about, because we do a lot of them here with our gym guy over here, our gym. He does a lot of sprints, and I could text him, I could call him later on just to, you know, get a great answer for you guys. But I mean, all I know is it works on explosiveness. That's really all I know.
Oh, maybe a guess for next week?
Yeah, definitely, yeah, for sure.
Line it up. There we go.
Can I touch on that quick?
Go for it.
So there, when you're training, you can train two different type of muscle. You have your slow twitch muscles and your fast twitch muscles. So your slow twitch muscles are usually your really big muscles like your glutes and your hamstrings. And then you have a little bit of those fast twitch muscles. For us, we work on our reaction speed, our explosiveness, our quickness. And sprints are really good for that. It gets your legs going quick. You know, it also is an anaerobic workout. You know, you can work on your stamina, increase your lung capacity. Plus, you know, for us, you know, we're not going on a full out sprint too often, but we're more of like a marathon runner. We're not so much of a sprinter in terms of hockey players. You know, forwards and defense, they're out there for 45 seconds. They're going a million miles an hour and then they get a minute rest. Their training should be a little bit different than ours. But that doesn't mean that where you're at, everybody that's on the call right now is still in that upward trajectory stage where you're still increasing your speed, your reaction time, your strength, your coordination. Every piece is still improving. So you don't want to be overly concerned about 100% the right exercise for you now. It's more along the lines of overall general awareness of you becoming a better athlete. And sprinting, running, you know, a lot of players, a lot of kids, I hate to say this, run improperly. They don't know how to run. Have you ever, some of these kids that we come to camps and do clinics and we go out and we do our dry land and we're doing sprints and we're doing running, they don't run properly. So if you are a high level athlete, you have everything already fine-tuned, sprinting is going to be a great exercise to kind of differentiate your normal workout routine inside of the gym. It's going to be great when you're off the ice, away from the rink. If you're up and coming, sprints will be great to really test your ability and your speed and your endurance. So overall, it's all really good stuff. Again, anything that you can be doing is better than nothing, but make sure you're not misusing it. When you're doing sprints, you don't want to be sprinting for 5 miles. You want to keep it short and sweet. You know, I did an online lesson last week and we set up 2 cones. And I gave them a time, a minute. Run as fast as you can for a minute, touch as many cones as you can. Then you have your base. And then for the next rep, you say, okay, I just touched the cone 8 times in a minute. Well, now I got to get farther than that. I got to get faster than that. So you put yourself in a position to compete against yourself. If you have teammates, like when I was at Newman, our training camp, I thought I was a track star. We were outside in the field every day, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and we were doing an hour and a half of sprints and dry lane training with a limited amount of weights, mostly about running, agility, and footwork. And I hated it. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it. But at the same time, when I was done and the season started, I was in the best shape of my life because I was doing something that I didn't think was important for me, but it paid off dividends. And looking back, I wish I would have done it earlier in my career to have a little bit more speed, agility, and endurance. So the squats are great. The sprints are even better. And again, it just increases your ceiling. It improves your ability to compete against anybody, not just your small pond that you're in locally.
Cool. All right, Patrick's got a question on Josh. Let's start off with you. Your favorite goalie to watch and learn from, and why?
Ooh.
Oh, is this current goalie or when I was growing up?
Either. Your call. Your call.
Yeah, because my hero growing up was always Eddie Belfour. Loved watching him play. Loved his compete level. One thing I learned to really like about him as I got older and I learned to know the position was seeing the transformation he made in the middle of his career.
Yeah.
He was having back problems. He had a really forward, wide stance. And then right in the middle of his career, he completely changed it up, got a lot more narrow, a lot more upright. And he ended up winning a cup in Dallas with that new modified stance and ended up going to Toronto and having some good years too. So it just shows like how even though you're taught one way, like these goalies that we showed in the clips today, like we had Crawford, we had Lundqvist. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if you were sliding there, no one would say that was wrong. You know, that was kind of what we were doing. So these guys now have to learn this whole new system. And it shows that if you really commit to it, if you work hard, doesn't matter what system you learn, you could always adapt and change as the game changes. Because what we're telling you guys now, I guarantee you by the time you're our age, the goalies are going to be playing a completely different way. You know, the players are going to adjust, so the goalies are going to continue to have to adjust. So that's one of the reasons. One, it was his competitiveness. Two, he had great style, one of the best buckets in the game. And then three, just his adaptability. Right, how he was able to reinvent his career midway through. So,
Ron?
For sure. I mean, if we look at current goalies, my favorite would definitely be Kerry Price. It's a classic. I mean, come on. No, I also love, because the thing is, you have so many different ways of playing the game, and you can see it. You know, if you look at a guy like Bobrovsky, and then you compare him to Price, they have two completely different ways of playing the game. They were brought up in two completely different environments too, but they have two completely different ways of playing the game, and it's really, I love watching them both. I think both can give you different pointers that you can, you know, add to your game and or try to apply in certain situations, and you know, there's, I think honestly you should look at every single goalie and try to take away as much as possible from them. But my favorite is Carey Price for sure. There's no doubt about it.
Matt?
So I have a few. Like growing up, I think Belfour was great. He was one of my favorites. I actually had the pleasure of being on the ice with him numerous summers. He used to go up to Toronto and do the trade jack school with all the other campers. So I was fortunate enough to, the one summer, I got to be in the same group as Belfour and his son Dane. And I think that was awesome. That was when he was just traded to the Maple Leafs. It was after the Chicago Blackhawks and the Dallas Stars time of his career when he was a little bit younger and a little bit more mobile. And just like Josh said, it was really interesting to see how a player like that was one way so early in his career and then totally transform into a different goalie later on in his career. And it was really cool. But my favorite goalie growing up was Belfour was really cool and really fun to watch. I loved Nabokov. Again, he was kind of my favorite because he was at the same camp up in Toronto. So I got to be on the ice with him. And just like anybody else, if you're on the ice, that's the coolest thing ever because that's the one you like. But my real hero was Mike Richter, like a local kid, Abington, played at Wissahickon. Some of the guys that are on the call played there or have skated at that rink. That was one of my first rinks growing up, and to see Mike Richter's name in the stands, and then we'll get to watch him play. That was really entertaining. Plus, he was small. You know, I'm 5'8" on a good day, so you know, watching somebody that's similar height to you, similar structure to you, and find so much success. You know, that's just a mentor and a goalie you love to watch. Now, you know, you have your new breed of goalies. Binnington's awesome. I really like his fire. I love how calm, composed he's in net, but he has a little bit of fire in his belly. If you piss him off, I kind of like that personality. Quick, you watch him back in the day, when he was sliding all over the place, some of the cup runs, he was the best player on the ice for 2-3 years. But now, Bobrovsky's fun to watch. I don't have my favorite that I'm 100% in. I have my group. And I think I can't put my stamp of approval on this one as number one. I have my top 5. I never liked watching Wall, though. I never really liked watching him play. Or Brodeur. I never really was a fan of Brodeur besides his puck handling because he was on the Jersey Devils and I was a Flyers fan.
He was a devil. He was a devil.
Yeah.
For me, Brodeur was my guy growing up. I was a Devils fan growing up, so I love Marty Brodeur. Right now, the 2 goalies who I really like would be Braden Holtby. I love watching Holtby play. And along the same lines of a Belfour, Flurry. I think Flurry is a completely different goalie. I remember watching Flurry in his rookie year in Wilkes-Barre, and he is not nearly the same goalie as he was back then. Back then, he was sliding everywhere, out of control, making all these athletic saves, whereas now he's making saves on his feet, and he's much more calm and poised. And the fact he's had the career he's had is pretty remarkable. So let's see, moving on.
One point on that. I think it's very cool to hear everyone kind of their favorite goalies, but the 2 points that we brought up was Flurry and Belfour staying in the league for so long and adapting. And that goes for everybody on this call. If you want to be successful, the goalie that you are today is not going to be enough next year. And the goalie that you are next year is not going to be enough for the year after. You always have to continue to learn and develop and adapt. The best players, the players that have the longest careers, are the ones that can do that. And a great example is Belfour and Flurry. Those are guys that came in, were totally different, young and athletic and all over the place. And they have learned to adapt to that new game. Same thing for your favorite goalie, Belfour. Not Belfour, Brodeur. Brodeur came in the game when you had brown pads, leather deer hair pads. Mm-hmm. And he was able to play through the new generation of V8s, of Vaughns. That's a long time in the league, and the game changed tremendously. It was used to be clutching and grabbing and a big man. It was a battle on the ice. Now it's about speed and skill, and these guys were able to kind of have success all the way through. And I think that's a testament to their ability to continue to learn and adapt. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's good. That's a good point. I'm going to kind of glaze over this one a little bit because I think we kind of touched on it. Max asks, is it better to watch veteran goalies like Rask or rookies like Primo? Obviously, both are fantastic. And I think it's the same thing. I think when you look at Rask and you look at Primo, you're looking at 2 different goalies, and they both have a lot to offer. What Rask is doing now, his positioning, the way he plays the game, that's going to kind of stay forever. But there are things that Primo does now that obviously that are newer styles that Rask doesn't really put in his game. So, again, we're looking at the evolution of goaltending. Rask is a veteran. He's probably a Hall of Famer. Primo, we don't know where he's going to go. Carter Hart, is another young goalie. Bennington, as Matt just said. We can learn from everyone. And it's not just the NHL guys. Watch AHL guys. Watch the guys on the coast. Watch D1 guys. They all have something to offer. They're all tremendous, tremendous goaltenders. Damo's asking, do you have any nutritional tips, examples of good nutritional meals and things to eat? Josh, you want to kind of tackle that one?
This is not my wheelhouse at all. I'm not gonna lie. If I had a better diet, better habits, I might still be playing in some form or another. But yeah, it's crazy how much nutrition has become commonplace, where, to be honest, when I was growing up, it was not touched on much. You're kind of left to your own devices. I think there's enough information out there where we pretty much know what we should and shouldn't be putting into our bodies. It's just easier said than done, and it takes a lot of discipline. So my advice to all the young guys out there, start now. Because if you start now, it becomes a habit. If you're trying to change your diet at my age, it gets a little bit tougher. So, and if you really want to make it, you have to realize the sleeping, the eating, everything, it's part of it. It's not just what you do on the ice. It is a full-time gig. You're going to have a full-time job, whether it's in an office or at an ice rink. So make sure you apply yourself to whatever you want to do.
Laurent, you want to chime in?
Listen, I think Josh had everything to I could have said to that, because I'm really not an expert as well as well in that department. You know, like nutrition is not my thing. But no, like you said, there's a lot of information out there for you, and I'm sure wherever you're from that there are still some people on call that you know you could call and they could definitely help you with that. That's for sure.
Matt?
I'm no expert on this. I wish I knew more information on the nutritional side. There, I can get you some good contacts. I have a lot of good contacts in that field. Don, I think you're the one who asked that question. I can definitely get you in contact with a nutritionist. In general, make good decisions. You know, be conscious of your portion size, making sure that you're not eating junk. You know, candy bars, sugary food, sodas. You know, everything is okay in moderation. Remember that. I don't want you guys to become militant people who are so obsessed about what they're putting in their body that they can't function well, you know, because it's a double-edged sword. I had one of my really good friends, and Mitch, you know him, I won't call him out by name. He had some trouble with nutrition, and it was most times when people think you have trouble with nutrition, you're going to blow up and eat crap, junk. He was so afraid to put anything in his body because he thought he was going to get fat, and he thought he was going to be overweight and not have, you know, this physique to be able to go play the position. And he had some trouble eating, and it became a problem. Remember, we want you to be educated. The more education that you have, the better suited you are to make a educated decision. Be conscious of what you're putting in your body. Proteins are good. Carbohydrates are good. You know, fruits and vegetables are going to help you grow. You know, make sure you get your calcium and your vitamins. But what that means for you individually, I think it would be a prudent decision for us to point you to somebody that has a better education in that field. But there's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of good individuals that can hopefully help provide you a better diet if you're looking for that.
It's good answers there. Evan Miller asked, what kind of things do you suggest to build endurance? Laurent, you want to kick us off?
A lot of high stuff right now, I think, is the best way to go. And I think we went over actually like some off ice stuff before. Right now, definitely go outside. You know, we were talking about sprints and running a marathon and everything like that. So, you know, try to train for a marathon. You know, why not? Right now is the time to do it. You should definitely do it. If you have access to a lake, go swimming. You know, do whatever you can to stay active right now. But I mean, again, not an expert in the off ice field, so I feel like I can't answer any questions right now. It's kind of embarrassing. But
yeah. I mean, we all have our wheelhouses. I mean, we're goalie coaches. We're not we're not physical. You know, we're not personal trainers. And I think, Laurent, given the questions, I think it would not be a bad thing to have a trainer come on and answer some of these questions for us.
You know what? I think so, because we get so many questions now about the about the off ice stuff and nutrition and whatnot. So let's do it.
So let's jump to. We actually have a goalie question next. So let's jump to a goalie question. And Josh, you'll kick this one off. When you're in your RVH, should you have your blade, toe, or shin on the post?
So this could start a war here, because every goalie coach I feel has a different philosophy with the RVH. In a perfect world, I love the toe cap. The only thing is, it is the smallest target to lock in consistently, so it takes a little bit of trial and error before it becomes comfortable. I know the shin on post, or as I call it, the tuca, is effective on the save itself. However, it's going to compromise your mobility. So those are some things to take into account when using the shin on post. So shin on post, I would say, if you're sure it's going to be a stuff play or a short side play, you normally are pretty safe using that shin on post in that situation. But if there is a threat of any cross ice pass where you have to be mobile, skate or toe cap is always going to be easier to get in and out of. So perfect world, I'd go toe cap. Skate is going to happen from time to time. If you do get there and the play is above the goal or below the goal line, I would adjust and try and get that toe cap into place so you don't have any awkward goals off the boot of your skate. But if you came to my school, we preach toe cap I don't really love the shin on post, but I do cover it just because every now and then it's going to happen, and you need to know how to execute properly when it does happen. If we remember that goal I showed with Ranta where he was overplaying there, that might have been a time where, because he was overplaying, shin on post might have been the best option. And even though it would have been a clean push, he might have been able to push off the shin and get post to post in a perfect world. But it's good to know them all. But every situation's different. So I know I kind of kept going in circles there.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, it's definitely a controversial topic among goalies and goalie coaches.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Matt, you want to chime in on this one?
Everybody has their different preference. I mean, there is no perfect, just like Josh said, there's different situations that call for different setups. The shin on post, I'm not a big fan of it because I think it hinders your movement. But if you watch someone like Rask play, he uses it all the time. On the skate on post, I think it allows you more mobility because you have a little bit of a base to push off of. But then at the same time, it gives you a small little hole where, for some odd reason, the hockey gods always seem to put the puck there. So you have to be careful and be conscious of that small little hole. The toe in the post is the most ideal whenever you have the full seal, and it allows you to have some post. But again, it's a lot more challenging. So, I like to teach all three, and I also like to put my goalies in a situation where you're on your post, working on getting from each one, right? Trying to go from your skates into that shin on the post, go from your skates to your toe on the post, go on your skates to trying to get your toe bridge on your post. You find which one you feel more comfortable with, and you continue to practice it so it becomes natural. If you're in a game and you're thinking about which one should I put on the post, my toe, my shin, or my skate, most likely the puck's going to go in. So it has to be more fluid, and the only way to get that fluidity is to practice.
Laurent?
I think, like both guys said, they're all great options as long as you're comfortable doing them. So there's a lot of practice, again, that comes into it. I'm a big fan of blade, actually, because I find it allows a lot more mobility. So, but blade, there's a way of playing the blade on the post that doesn't open up a big hole. We were really talking about, toe. The toe of the blade needs to be on the post and not, the middle part of the blade, or the heel has to be toe. Because then as soon as you go for the middle part of the blade or then the heel part, then, you open up, your hole gets bigger and bigger. So if you go toe, that hole is not that dramatic. So it's a hole, that's for sure. But it's not so dramatic that, you should really worry about it. And there's a way of playing. I find there's a way of playing with your stick as well that can cover up that hole if ever it's really like a big thing. So, but then for sure, I mean, the toe cap, or as some people call it, the bridge, right? So the bridge between the pad and the skate is also like a great option. And the shin, I was never really like a big fan of it. Kind of like the VH, not a position that I'm a real big fan of, but it's tools. You got to have a lot of tools to play, at a high level, and the more tools you have, in the toolbox, as they say, well, the better off you are. So definitely try them out. Try all these different options out in different situations, and then find what's best for you, right? Find what works for you. So that's what I have to say on that.
Okay. All right, we got a couple more questions here from Leon. If you're losing 7-1, is it useless to make a crazy save? I thought you should always make the save. Matt Tendler wants to jump on this one.
Yeah, that was my fault. So as we speak, some things come out. You're always supposed to make the save. But in a game, does that save really mean as much 7-1 when you're losing compared to a 2-2 tie, right? There is a difference when you make that save and it's a 2-2 game compared to a 7-1 game. So I want you to make every save. I hope it's not going to be 7-1. And if you are 7-1, you don't want to get pumped even more. You don't want 8, 9, 10 goals in your net. So make the save. But when we were going over that discussion earlier, it was more along the lines of the impact of the save. A 2-2 game, that impact is much greater than a 7-1 losing game, if that makes sense. I just wanted to clarify that. I think that's a good point. Sorry, Leon, for confusing you on that one.
Agreed. All right, we have 2 more questions. One, getting into a little more technical stuff here, positioning from Max as a small goalie, and we've got some small goalies here, Matt, Laurent, Josh. I'm guessing you're not 6'3", 6'4". We're all vertically challenged. As a small goalie, how far out of the crease should I go? Matt?
It depends. Every situation is different. It depends on your skating ability as well. You know, size-wise, ideally, if you're good at math and good at geometry, you can find the ideal spot where you're supposed to be, right? If we can simplify it just down to simple math, there is a perfect spot for each situation. But just like everything else, there's so many different variables that we don't know about. And for those that don't know what a variable is, it's an unknown, things that we can't say this is what it's going to be. So is your defense good? Right? That's going to be a differentiator. If you have solid defense and you have good coverage and your only focus and your responsibility is that puck carrier, you can probably be a little bit more aggressive. If it's a 2-on-0, well, crap, now that's a different situation. We got to be a little bit more controlled and composed if there's a couple passes so we can move and adjust. If you don't have as good a coverage, let's just say it's a 2-on-2 and you got little Johnny on the left defense and you know Johnny can't skate backwards. It happens. You have to be a little bit more conscious of that threat, of that passing threat. So you can't be as aggressive on the puck carrier. So I like to say on different situations, let's just say a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2. Normally I'm about 80, and take this with a grain of salt. I don't mean it 100%, but when I'm taking a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2, I'm about 80% of my focus on the puck carrier and about 20% focus on the threats. So I always know where everybody else is at, and I understand where the play could move to. But me as a goalie, my job is to stop the puck carrier, F1. Now, if the play develops and the puck carrier moves to somebody else, then my responsibility shifts. But you have to be aware of everybody. If you're a good skater, it allows you to be more aggressive. If you're not so good of a skater, you can't move as fast, you have to be more passive to get in the right position at the right time.
Josh, you want to build on that?
Yeah. So as Matt was saying, there is no right answer. It all depends on the individual's ability. Rule of thumb is normally the further out you are, the more you're going to have to move when that puck goes side to side. So when that puck is at the dead angles, your wide angles, you want to be a little deeper. When that puck is between the dots, that's when we got to be a little more aggressive, take away that shot. But if you work on your skating ability, you increase your skills, then you could get away with being a little more aggressive. Like a goalie I always think of as Johnny Quick. Like I would never tell anyone to play out that high, or a Marc-Andre Flurry. But with that footwork, they can get away with playing that aggressive. And also, in a game where goalies are a lot more conservative, I imagine as a shooter, when you see that goalie at the top of the paint, it throws you off sometimes, right? Like you don't see that every day in today's game. So having that tool in your toolbox to be aggressive and play out high, it's a great skill to have. So footwork, and then you could edge out a little further to the top of your crease and, force the play a little bit.
Laurent, anything to add?
I think they took it away and said everything, but I actually have a question. What do we think about Lundqvist and the way he manages depth?
Is that proposed to us as coaches or?
Yeah, I mean, a bit of both, right? I want some answers in the comments. I think that'd be great. But I mean, coaches is it's always you have some people are for it, some people I don't know, some people like it less. So
I think it goes into every goalie has a different skill set. I mean, you watch some goalies that are a little bit more aggressive and other goalies that are a little bit more passive. You have on the passive side, Lundqvist loves to play on the goal line with his butt in the net. You have Mike Smith, who's a massive goalie that can get away with that stuff. You have a Ben Bishop, same idea. They're 6'7". These goalies are massive and they take up so much space that they can get away with being a little bit more conservative than us just because of their presence. I mean, they got massive equipment. They're big bodies. There's a lot of traffic. And that game goes so fast. So for them to be successful, they rely more upon their positioning being square, and then their depth is more important secondary. So they get themselves in the position. They're watching the play. Shot comes. They trust their ability to catch up to shots. Shots are, to be honest, if it's a clean shot, every NHL goalie, no matter where they're at in the net, should stop it. It's the deflections, it's the screens, it's the broken plays. So for him, being more passive means he has to move less. So for those screens, those passes, those deflections, he's in a much better position to make a controlled save that way than, let's say, someone like a Jonathan Quick. But Jonathan Quick can be aggressive because he has telescopic legs that can go all over the place and do splits and craziness, and he's a powerful skater. So he can make up that time, which Lundqvist doesn't have that ability. But I don't like watching Lundqvist play very much because he's too passive for me. But I respect the way that he plays, and I respect the success that he's been able to find playing that way. It's tried and true. He can play that way. He's done his whole career, and he's found success everywhere. So there's no right or wrong. It's just how do you play the best that you can inside of your frame and your abilities, and he does it to a T.
Yeah, man, I think that really kind of sums it up pretty well. I mean, I'm not a Lundqvist guy. But I recognize the King has done a lot in his career. King doesn't have a ring, though. But he's got everything else. Mike Smith, I can't stand watching him play. I love picking on him. But you know what? The guys in the NHL, Ben Bishop, same thing. Couple replies we have. Rhino says he's in the NHL. He can do what he wants. Damo says he can do it because the reaction time is great. And that's the way he likes to play. And it's different for every goalie. And that's 100%. There's no, like I said, there's Johnny Quick. There's Marc-Andre Flurry. And then you got Lundqvist and you got the Mike Smith. And they're all in the NHL. Koskinen, big body. You play with what you got. Those, like I said, those of us who are vertically challenged, we can't play the same way as a Mike Smith. We'll get torched. So, our last question here of the day, and then we're going to wrap it on up. Quentin asked about juggling. Is juggling good? Matt, you want to lead off on that?
Anything is better than nothing, and any drill that you're going to do to test your limits is going to help you improve. Now, with that being said, I'm not a big fan of juggling. I can't juggle. I could never juggle. I never wanted to juggle. I tried it when I was younger and said, this is stupid. But everybody has their own their idea of that, right? I know I can't do it, and I never put enough attention to try and do it. But when you're juggling, it takes coordination. It tests your perception of where objects are in the air to be able to monitor that. And it takes a little bit of timing. So there's a lot of good things that go into it. For me, I wanted to work on things that were going to sort of replicate how I saw a shot. So I know you guys said it's sometimes mundane and boring just to throw a ball against the wall, but that was pretty much what I did my whole career. I would put my headphones on. I would spend 25, 30 minutes on the wall every day with a tennis ball or a racquetball. And it wouldn't be complicated drills. It would be quick, right? I wasn't just throwing a ball and just trying to really gingerly catch it. Probably every three would go by me because I'm humming that ball at the wall so fast. So it's a reaction time drill. It's a coordination time drill, right? So depending on how you train and what your purpose is, there's pros and cons to each hand-eye coordination drill. If you're looking for coordination of trying to get your hands and eyes and your perception together, juggling's great, but it's not going to help you with reaction time. And technically, I don't really think it's going to help you that much with connecting the dots between a shooter's blade and the puck in your glove. It's going to help you mentally with your eyes and conceptually, but I don't think it transitions 100% into making more saves on the ice. But if you think it's going to help you, if you like it, do it. Right? I mean, again, everyone's so different, right? My way isn't 100% correct. There's no 100%. If you think juggling is going to help you, do it. If you want to learn a new skill and you think it's cool, try it. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to 100% translate into more saves on the ice.
Either you guys have anything to add on to that, or is that kind of share your opinion as well?
Well, to steal a terminology from Goalie IQ, I believe he says juggling improves your spatial awareness, right? You're going to have the ability to know like what lane that puck is moving into, maybe off the shot, things like that. Similar to Matt, I never knew how to juggle. I actually learned during COVID just because I was bored. If you did want to learn, it just takes like 10 minutes a day consistently and just building off of it. If you check out In Goal magazine, they had a great little article about how to learn quickly. But yeah, it's one thing to add to the toolbox. I don't think it would hurt, as Matt was saying, but also it doesn't translate directly. And it doesn't help with your tracking at all because you're not actually tracking each ball into your hand. So if you're looking to build your visual connecting your hands and your eyes a bit better. I think Matt's technique was better. Just one ball, throwing and watching in the whole way, just building those good habits and, yeah, going from there.
Laurent, anything to add, or you?
No, I'm good. They said everything in that one.
Okay. Well, goalies, I appreciate your time. Josh, what do you have going on? I know you're doing some stuff online through Zoom.
Yeah.
What, because obviously we have some of Laurent's students, some of our students. What do you got going on?
So right now I'm doing an online program. It runs every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So Wednesdays we do puck handling and shooting. Thursdays we do all hand-eye coordination, and then Fridays quick feet and mobility. So like ladder work and some yoga. So yeah, just something to, stay in touch with all my clients. And luckily I've even added some people. So if anyone was interested, wanted to give a session a shot, just get in touch with Mitch. He could contact me and I'll send you the links.
Cool. Laurent, what are you up to?
Kind of working every day there, but no, we do these Zooms once a week, and it's really great. I don't know if we're gonna start doing the skating sessions again. Would be great, but no,
we got someone here who can skate. We got someone in the house now who skates, so maybe.
So let's do it then. Let's do some skating sessions. I'm sure these guys want to see me sweat a bit, so let's get him going again. But
Rhino's shaking his head, yes.
Yeah.
You did to him. I think he wants to see you sweat too.
So yeah, no, we're doing these Zooms once a week, and it's great. Been loving the feedback that we're getting, and loving doing them too. It's awesome.
Awesome.
Getting to talk to other coaches, and Matt is always a great guy to have around as well. I always love hearing about your perspective and everything, which is it's awesome. So no, that's what I'm up to.
Cool. And then Matt and I, we've got a couple things brewing. Obviously, we have our Sundays here. Tuesday, we have another Zoom. This week, we've got Justin Goldman from the Goalie Guild. So we're doing that at 5:30. 4 o'clock, I'm actually rolling out my first Zoom vision training. And then what else we got? We got Wednesday, we got a live skate. And then before you know, we're back here on Sunday again. So everyone, I want to thank everyone for coming out. Josh, we really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time. Laurent, always a pleasure. Goalie doctor yourself. You're the man. That's all I can say.
Thank you, gentlemen. Josh, thanks so much for jumping on. It was really great to have your insight. And gentlemen, please check him out. Check him out online. If anybody needs his contact information, reach out to Mitch or I, and we'll get you guys in contact with him.
Thanks a lot, Matt. I appreciate it.
Enjoy. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Josh.
Everyone stay safe. Have a great week. Hope to see you guys at the hand-eye and the Zoom on Tuesday. Have a great night, everyone.
Take care, guys.